everyone. I'm Amber, your gross motor guide for NewDay Child Coaching, and I am so excited that you're here for our very first toys live deep dive discussion. This is a really fun topic for me personally, and if you're a parent, a teacher, a daycare worker, a babysitter, you know just how many toys there are out there for our babies and our toddlers, and it can be overwhelming. So we wanted to take the time to offer you a few of our favorites for each of our age ranges and really dive deep into them and talk about everything that you can do with these toys and how you can facilitate your child's development in every developmental domain with these toys, not just focusing on, hey, this is a great gross motor toy, this is a great fine motor toy, but really teaching you how you can use all of these toys and all of these examples to help to facilitate your child's full development. We're so excited that you're here to learn more about toys with us. And before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. It helps our community grow, and then you get notified whenever we have new content coming out. So enjoy our live deep dive for toys, part one.
So everybody, now that we're all on, I am Rachel Lynn. I am the pediatric speech language pathologist. And who wants to go next?
Amanda, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Amanda Farragon, pediatric occupational therapist.
All right.
And I'm Amber. I am a pediatric physical therapist.
Woohoo! All right, and together we are Team NewDay Child Coaching, and we are here today to talk about all things toys, why we pick them, how we use them, how you can learn to pick them like an expert. Are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah, I feel like I'm so close on the manager view. So if I need to scooch back, let me know, because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of the Vanna Whiting these toys. So if you can't see them, then it completely defeats the purpose.
We'll pick that up as we go. Right now you look gorgeous. Perfect. And so I wanted to go over a couple things, housekeeping. First of all, we have got a 30% off coupon from now until July 31st. If you join us and you want to be part of our exclusive meta-free social sharing space community, join us. So it's at www.newdaychildcoaching.com, and just sign up and we will send you that 30% off code. Again, it expires July 31st. And now switching gears, we're going to go over some objectives for this course, or for what we're doing today with toys. One of the things we think is really important is to be able to help you differentiate between different and similar toys, so that you're not wasting money on getting things that are almost the same, that you're not having to take up space with things that are really not too different, and just so that you know what your toy is actually targeted to teach, so that you can kind of play better that way. If anybody else has the Google Doc open, you guys can join in, or would you like me to continue?
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead. So the next thing that we want to do is to really help you figure out how to identify the objective of a toy, right? So what's the toy going to help teach? What is the toy going to help facilitate as far as your kiddo's development? And what's really the purpose of the toy that you're giving them? So is it a cause and effect toy? Is it a sensory toy? Is it a toy that you can build motor development into? And the answer is usually yes, if it's a good toy on my end. Is it an imitation toy? Is it a imaginative play toy? So we want you to be able to break apart those pieces and know, if you know those pieces, then you know how to facilitate the kiddo playing with the toy and getting that good quality playtime that we're looking for.
Right on. Another thing that we want you to know about is how to gauge if a toy is too advanced or actually too easy, so that your child may or may not be intrinsically motivated, where they want to play with it. Well, if they don't want to, maybe that's the reason. Amber, what's next?
Yeah. Oh, and this is one of my favorite things because I actively do this. I really want people to understand the benefits of using a toy rotation. I am one of those people that I have like 4 or 5 toys that all do the same thing because I'm a toy hoarder, and so I have broken them up into different rotations so that for my daughter, she doesn't get bored playing with the same toy over and over again. Every week she gets a new fresh batch of toys. There's like 6 to 8 toys in the batch, and it improves quality of play, and it also improves the time spent with toys for her and for other children. There's tons of research out there, so we want to promote toy rotation and help you understand why it's important.
Absolutely. And a couple other ones. We want to make sure that you know how many toys should be, or not should be, but are optimal, right, for each play environment. Understanding also a couple of our favorites and why they're our favorites. We're going to do some deep dives with just a couple, just so that you can kind of better understand which ones we really enjoy. We'd also really like parents to understand the benefits of toys with no batteries um, versus batteries. What else, Amber?
I'm sorry, I lost my space. I was so into what you were saying, Rachel.
Oh, I can keep going. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so one of my big things actually is toys and toxicity. I know it's not a big fun one, but I really feel strongly about selecting toys that you know are going to either be multiple generational, like you can give it away to somebody else, or you can use it with your future children, or how it's going to just impact the environment. Is it something that's just going to break really quickly, or possibly um, expose your child to unsafe levels of who knows what? We're going to just briefly talk about that. And then, Amber, you actually recently posted a really important recall notice. And so, one of the other things, if you want to talk about that piece, what we want also parents to know.
Yeah, so we want you to be able to look at toys, especially because a lot of toy shopping is happening online these days. We want you to be able to look at toys and determine whether or not they're safe for your kiddo in like the realm of, is it a choking hazard? Are pieces going to fall off of this? Is the manufacturer marketing this as safe for a 12-month-old, but in reality, you get it and you take it out of the box and you're like, man, this isn't well put together. Like I can pull on this, and those beads that were on that track fell right off. So we want you as parents to be able to gauge the safety of these individual toys, because what we're finding is that while a big toy, a very popular toy, can be recalled, all of the other little manufacturers around the world, wherever they're being released, if they're doing dupes of these toys, those toys aren't being recalled. So if you're buying a dupe from Amazon instead of buying the name brand toy, then you're not going to get those recall notices. So we want you as a parent to be able to think critically about these types of toys.
That's so important, Amber. Yeah, that whole duping piece. Yeah, they cost less, but that's a really great point. You're not going to get the same notifications that, hey, take that out of your out of your child's toy
Yeah.
box. Um, Okay, so, and then the other thing just to share is that we really would love parents to know how to identify toys, how they can be used for multiple things. So that's what we're all about, is interweaving all three of our disciplines so that we can help you understand how to use one toy 3 different ways or more, and get so much more fulfillment for both you and your child, and really make that toy go a lot longer than you might think it's possible. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm
Um,
really excited. I'm excited to dive into our list of like what we're calling evergreen toys, because there are a few on there that you really may not think are evergreen, and there are some that are on our list too that we have categorized in each age group that could also be evergreen, but we just can't
categorize all of our toys as evergreen. So I'm just so excited to like show off some of these toys and encourage parents to learn how to play with them.
All right. Okay, well, let's get started.
Cool. So our first one, we're going to start with 0 to 6 months as far as our deep dive goes. And I think that we'll probably touch on a lot of those other objectives kind of as we're talking about each one of these toys. But the first one is for that 0 to 6 month is going to be our black and white contrast cards. I love these things, and there's a couple of different options. These guys you can get on Amazon, like most of these things, but that comes with all sorts of different cards, different patterns.
There's a link on our website for these
There
too.
is, thank you. There's a link on our website on our affiliate page. So if you are wanting these because you like them, go to you can find the link on our Amazon, and you'll also be able to get the link on our freebie once we release it after this live is over. So excited about that too. But yeah, so there's lots of different designs. There are actually also animals on the backs of some of them. And we really like these for that 0 to 6 month age because this is really what they're seeing, right? So they see those high contrast black versus white colors. They're not going to be seeing like rainbow colors and whatnot. So these are going to be fun things that you can show your newborn while they're in tummy time. You want to make sure that you're holding them nice and close to their face within like that, 7 to 12 inch range. And if you want to work on head range of motion, you just move it slowly in front of their face. If you don't have cards, you can get books. We have board books. We have this fun thing here too. I don't have links to any of these, and this one also has colors in it, but it like springs out. So there's lots of stuff to look at on this one. But there are lots of options. Another way, I saw this on another person's page. I'll have to give them credit in the comments because I don't remember who it is off the top of my head, but they had their older siblings of their newborn create the high contrast paintings with black paint and white paper. So that's also a really fun, that's a fun way. Yeah, isn't that so fun to it's a fun way to include siblings in like welcoming the new baby. It's probably like you also don't have to get on Amazon and buy the products, but these cards here, we used these so much.
And Amber, I would love to add to that too, especially with that sibling piece, just how beautiful and how important the older sibling would feel, right? Like you're holding up a piece of their art. The infant is, mesmerized and looking at it, and then you're praising the child that created it. Like, look at how much your little sibling loves this, So it just really initiates that really beautiful sibling bond as you go. And then the other piece for communication, just to mention, is that whatever you're looking at, talk about. Look at all these little stars. And then you could even sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star as you put up, whichever one. Or if the zebra's there, oh, look, I see the zebra's nose, and here's my nose, and here's your nose. And, just to make it more interactive.
Yeah. Love those tips. That's great, right? Yeah, because you just don't want to hold the card up in front of your newborn and expect them to be entertained, right? You want to communicate with them. You want to connect with them. So those are great tips.
And then from the OT perspective, really visual tracking is this is a crucial time for that development of visual tracking. So, just like the head control activity, tummy time, and following that card from side to side, it's also important for visual tracking. So really what you want to do in this instance is work on keeping their head forward and having them track just with their eyes. Now, when they're teeny tiny, that's going to be very hard, right, at first. Yeah. But we want to develop not only that head control so they can turn their head side to side, but also that visual control, which is really head staying in one place and the eyes tracking from side to side. And then you can repeat that, tracking up and down. Of course, as they get older, they can begin to track in a diagonal and a circular pattern as well.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I don't think that's something that I was tracking. That, my PT brain with my newborn, it was very much so like she had torticollis, right? because I would be given a baby with torticollis. Um, and so we're just constantly
That's
like,
how it works.
neck range of motion, look this way, look that way.
But yeah, for those visual or those ocular
Yeah.
muscles, right? And
Mhm.
Absolutely.
the cerebellum development. That's wonderful. That's a
Yeah,
great tip.
it's huge. My next one, oh, this is going to be like Inception, where there's like a phone inside of a phone inside of a phone. I can't. It's a tummy time mirror. This is the one we have. I don't know if this one's linked on our page or not, but it is linked in our freebie. There are tons of tummy time mirrors out there. If you don't want to spend the money on a tummy time mirror and you have one of those like full-sized mirrors that's like hanging against your wall or leaning against your wall, turn it sideways, take it down to your living room and put it against your couch, and you can use it that way too. But I really like this guy because it's pretty adjustable. So there's a piece of Velcro here. It turns into a stand, so it can be freestanding, but you can also close it up and lay it flat on the floor. Um, I like using it flat on the floor, especially with my itty bitty babies, because they're then like looking at something at themselves while they're pushing up. But it's also really great to have them look into while they're in tummy time and pushing up and looking forward. Um, this one comes in a couple of different colors. I like the black and white one because of all of the things that we just talked about. So like this fun thing spins and makes noise if you can hear it. And then there's like another sensory piece here with this bee. It crinkles its wings. So this is a winner. We love this one. I actually buy this one for a lot of friends who have baby showers. So if you've gotten this from me, you know that I love this.
And so to add just communication to that one, what I would even suggest or invite you to do would be to be behind your baby or beside your baby. So that baby might be looking at you through the mirror. You could even add the black and white visual cards behind baby so that baby can kind of see, just interacting with something as you're talking about it, or using that mirror to be side by side, and you can make faces or make sounds, little silly sounds. I would encourage you as well, or invite you to imitate the sounds that baby's making. So baby makes a silly sound. It might not even be on purpose. It might just be a sound that baby just made. Imitate it and see if baby kind of goes, whoa, what was that?
That wasn't me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've got to say, hands down, this is my absolute favorite toy for
So
the infants.
fun.
Yep, and
Yeah,
0 to 6
love
age range. It was one of those toys that as an OT I had, and used in the field regularly. As soon as I had children, that toy went right to my own children. Speaking of being able to use that toy, repeatedly, it is so incredible, beyond the infant stage, when kiddos are beginning to weight bear through their forearms. It's incredible to have that mirror to really motivate them as they are strengthening and learning weight bearing, through forearms, through their shoulder girdle, and then eventually weight bearing through their hands in an extended position as well. So it's fantastic for that. I also love the sensory component. So you've got the auditory, the little rattle there, tactile sensory. Amber, I don't know if you want to show, but like all
Yeah,
of the little pieces
the
on it,
little
like the
colored.
wings on the bumblebee and
Yeah.
so a lot of opportunity, and you're working on strengthening and sensory and
Hmm.
reaching. So the little one might be propped on a forearm and with the other arm reaching towards that toy to
Yeah.
gain some of that tactile sensory and auditory sensory input, while they're also strengthening and learning hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. I couldn't have put it any better, Amanda. That was great. Yeah, and then whenever they are, pushing up on forearms and eventually extended hands, like from a PT side of things, they're shifting their weight bearing from like more of their chest and their belly back onto their pelvis. So they're helping to shape that spine from that newborn curved spine into that more adult, mature, triple curve shape. So that's like, we love these toys. And then Rachel, this is probably, I don't know that this is made of like organic materials, but I would say that it would get like a green check mark maybe from you on the on like the what's it like the toxicity? What do we want to call this? We need to like come up with like a scale for Rachel
I
for like
love that.
how toxic is this toy? But it's, you know, it's made out of cloth. There's not whole lot of plastic on it, other than maybe like the bee's wings might be a different type of synthetic plastic. And then this guy is plastic, but there's not a lot of plastic on here. There's no paint to chip off. Like it's a pretty decent toy, guys.
And I just want to take a little dive onto that. So the reason why I'm kind of wearing that hat of the environmentalist and everything is not just for our earth, which it is, but it's also for our children and what we're exposed to. So we now know that plastics, some plastics, older plastics, had PCBs in them, and now they've been replaced with something else. However, we don't know at this time the toxicity level of whatever they replaced it with. So just because it doesn't have PCB does not necessarily mean whatever they've replaced it with is something that is better. We just don't know at this time. And then the other thing to just understand is that plastic breaks, plastic gets brittle. Microplastics do exist. They can wind up in baby's mouth, inadvertently. The older the toy is, the more brittle it gets. And if the toy is exposed to heat or sunlight, like, you left it in the car for too long, those things also change the plastics, right? They continue to evolve, if you will. So while I'm not suggesting, hey, throw out everything, just to keep in mind, when you're looking for toys, hey, how is this toy possibly impacting the earth? Is it going to wind up in the landfill, or is this a generational toy that can be passed on with the knowledge that, hey, this is not going to impact anybody in a harmful way, and it's healthy for us, it's healthy for the planet. Okay, I'll take my hat off.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great because, and I love, like, I feel like I'm kind of like a middle ground, crunchy. Like I'm not crunchy, but I'm scrunchy. So like, I like to like, I like the idea of organic foods, but like I also still have a Stanley that I use. So like I'm kind of in the middle ground. So like we do have plastic toys, we have wooden toys. We have really high end, like Love Every toys. We have really cheap toys that I find at the thrift shop. So, it's I think it's all about balance in that sense. But like I'm also not going to allow Parker to play with like a vintage 1950s Fisher Price set, because I know that they've already put out a statement of like, hey, we actually did use paint that has heavy metals on these things, so like keep those in your display cases and get the new things.
And remember to, okay, I'll put it back on for a slight second, even if it's in a display case, it still causes dust, which is even worse. Yeah, sorry.
All right, well,
keep going. Next toy.
Next toy. Okay, so those are the two toys that we have for our 0 to 6 month range. There are bonus toys listed in our toy freebie, so watch for that. It's going to be posted within like the next day or so. So if you want to know like our honorable mention toys, download that freebie. It's going to be on our website. But moving into the 6 to 12 month range, our first toy, I don't have enough hands for our first toy, are stacking nesting cups or blocks. Mine are currently wet from bath time. Oh no, I'm missing one. Ugh. Okay, this one doesn't exist. But Rachel, this is a fun one for you to talk about because I feel like there's so much that you can do with communication with these guys. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it's communication, it's cognition. This is a toy that just hits all the highlights, right? Because even for what you're doing stacking, you need, the ability to have that fine motor and gross motor control and dexterity. So it is one of our like, okay, this is a great, and you could put it in the bathtub. Hello, move it, it could be an everywhere toy. So as far as communication is concerned, though, as you're building the tower, of course, you're stacking up, up, up. You can knock it down. It's super fun. You can use it for hiding things. You can use it for talking about, whatever's as the child gets older, of course, not at this 0 to, or I'm sorry, not at the 6 to 12, but this is a toy that could be an evergreen toy because you can keep making it more complex as you go.
Definitely.
But it could be even, you know, the big, here's what I recommend for this age in particular is I really like to make it stand out as far as, because the cups are kind of similar if you're just looking at them as far as size goes. So I would like to take the biggest cup and the smallest cup. And when we're talking about like big and little concepts. And then it also makes it the child successful putting the it on top or putting it in, you know, the smaller one goes in the bigger one. Whereas the cups that are similar in size can be really frustrating because the child can't necessarily differentiate, oh, this is so close, I don't know. So I always like to start in making things super simple. So you start with the biggest and the smallest, and then as the child gets engaged and goes, oh, this is kind of fun, that's when you start to slowly add another one to it to make it a little bit more challenging. We One concept that I always like to explain is that if this is the child's level, we like to dance in between making it easy and making it more challenging. And the reason it's got to be a dance is that if it's always easy, the child's going to tune out because it's too easy. And if it's always too challenging, the child's going to tune out because it's too hard. So easy, 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 build up the child's confidence before they are ready to take off, make it more challenging. And before they're ready to take off because it's more challenging, make it easy, 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 easy again. So
Yeah, love that.
That's great. I wish I had that tip when I had my littles because it's fantastic. But yeah, I love the concept of being able to work on opposites as well from a cognitive perspective, like Rachel's talking about up, down, in, out, big and little, right? Of course, you know, the fine motor component of actually being able to stack and nest is fantastic, you know, from a fine motor OT perspective. And really, I love cups for those like pre-feeding, pre-self-feeding skills,
Yeah.
learning to scoop and pour. And you can do that in, you know, bath time, as Amber mentioned, with water. Or you could have a little bin filled with anything really, sand. There's so much great stuff out there these days, you know. You can use like corn kernels. That's a really fun one, or rice, you know, and just work on that scoop and pour. Great sensory activity as well.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad that you mentioned that because that was something that was in my head to add into that. And then yeah, on the gross motor portion of this, like I really truly believe that you can make any toy a gross motor toy if you're just creative enough. But I call anything that's more than one piece, I call them multi-piece toys. And there's just so much that you can do with this, right? So for this age range, skill levels can vary drastically. So this is where I really want parents to learn how to not only consider their kids' age, but also their developmental skill level, right? Because from 6 to 12 months, I mean, you can have a kiddo who is walking by 11 months. And then you can have a kiddo who may have just started crawling at like 10 or 11 months. So we really want to consider where your individual child is at skill level wise, and then how you can use a toy like this that's recommended for this age range to help to facilitate the development of that further skill, whether your kid is 11 months old and ready to play with this in a squatting activity where they pick up the next cup from the floor in a squat and put it up on a higher surface. Or if your kid is 11 months old and they just learned how to crawl and you're just like throwing it across the room and like kind of playing fetch with your child, but like not actually treating them like a dog. So like I really think that like this is just a fun one, right? And if you're thinking really early into that age range, so like around the 6-month mark, kiddo is sitting independently, you can work on just building it in front of them and have them reach out to knock it over, and that's going to be working on that postural control and their reaching skills. Rachel is so right. I mean, like this, I think this is one that we were like debating on, do we put this in an evergreen category or do we actually like categorize it into an age? because these simple little toys that, you know, it's like we all said, there's so much that you can do with this. So be creative, think about where your kiddo is at and how you can use this to make a fun and kind of challenging game.
Without
All right, what's our
batteries.
Yeah, no, right. None of the toys that we've brought up none of them have batteries yet. There are some that do have batteries, and we'll talk about them when we get there, because you do have to have some toys that have batteries. You can't just like, I mean, you could you could be a parent that doesn't have any battery powered toys, and that's fine. No shame in that. I wanted to be that parent because talking toys sometimes scare me, but I also recognize like I actually have a couple of therapy toys that I really like that have batteries, so we have to have those in the house.
And they're good
But
in effect if they're a good toy.
yes, yeah, we'll talk about those. I think we have a battery powered toy coming up in the next age range, but
Okay.
we'll finish this one out now.
Yeah.
So our second top pick toy, yeah, for this age range, for 6 to 12 months, is our pop-up toy. And I don't know about you ladies, but man, this is one that it's hard to find without batteries. Whenever I was going through and searching on Amazon to try to find a good one to link parents to, this is a Fisher Price. I picked this up at a thrift shop. But there are a lot that make noises with them now, and like that can be a cool thing, especially for maybe a kiddo who's like visually impaired and needs the auditory input. But like for me personally, I didn't want one that had batteries in it. So whenever I was going through and looking, it's like, man, a lot of these make noises. And like, you know, this guy, it does make noises, right? It squeaks. It like, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's like a little like long, and then this ticks, and that one dings. So, right, it does make sounds, but they're organic sounds that are made inside here without batteries, which is really fun. Who wants to go first with this guy?
I just wanted to mention that as you did those things, I loved how you labeled the sounds that you heard. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just doing that alone, you know, oh, ting, or tick, 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 as it goes, and pop, open, you know, there's just so many words that you can use for that. Yeah. And I would, you know, encourage invite you to just, you know, use those same words each time you do it, so that baby's being exposed to the same words again and again, to make sure that they're understanding, oh, that word equals that sound, or, you know, or as you're doing it, you know, turn, turn, turn for that action, and then labeling whatever are those fruit?
It's like a carrot and a strawberry and a pear and maybe a beet or a radish.
Ooh,
I don't
and
know.
do they
It's
have
pretty,
eyes?
Yeah, it's pretty cute. They do have eyes. Okay. Yep, they all have eyes and mouths.
Cute. So, I mean, those are things to talk about too. Oh, I see carrots' eyes. Here's my eyes. Where are your eyes? And you can touch them. Oh, there's your eyes.
Yeah.
Just as a way to engage further.
I love that. And Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about, like, because they're all different colors too, and that's typically where parents like to gravitate, right? So can you talk to us about how you would work with colors with kiddos
so
at this age?
I mean, you know, labeling a color is just fine, but we don't want to focus on colors. So okay, Amber, you led me up to this one, so I'll
did. It
I'll
was
swing
totally
that
a leading
at
question.
So this is a big I feel so badly for parents out there today, because you go into Walmart, you go into Target, you go into anywhere, and you're bombarded with toys that are looking at academics. They're looking at numbers. They're looking at colors. They're looking at shapes. They're looking at ABCs. And boy, this is not fun play for toddlers or infants or anybody that's not in, you know, an older setting or stage. What we want to focus on at this age is foundational skills, functional skills, or even like language that's going to be functional in the child's world. So if they learn to say red, blue, and yellow, are they going to get, and they don't know how to ask for their drink or help, or that they want your attention for something, how functional is that? You know, it's great. They've learned those colors, but it doesn't mean anything in their lives at this point. And it's not really fun, you know, in order to teach a child that way, you're really drilling, yeah, this is red, 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 this is red. And it would be so much more valuable to be able to in a fun way, ooh, here's your milk. Do you want your milk now? Here it comes. And the child gets their milk and they feel good because they've now had their milk that they wanted. And they're seeing it, they're hearing you, they're seeing how it's signed. It gives them more opportunity. And anyway, so that's just my own little, another soapbox I have.
Yeah, it was a leading question. I threw you a lob, but it's an important one, right? Because I know that there are so many parents out there and grandparents out there who, and it's not a bad thing. They don't do it out of a place of like, oh my gosh, I want my child to, or my grandchild to be like the smartest kid in the world. I mean, like who doesn't want that, right? Like it's not a selfish thing. It's just that like that's what we've all been taught, and for whatever reason, academia has been pushed and pushed and pushed. And so, you start playing with the kiddo and it's like, what color's this? What color's this? No, you can't push it yet. Tell me what color it is. I'm like, that's not fun. Nobody wants to get quizzed or tested whenever they're just trying to figure out how the world works.
And Amber,
and I've actually, go ahead.
I was just going to add one more thing to that. So, if you guys remember being in kindergarten, when the teacher asked, or if you've ever seen a kindergarten class, if the teacher asks a kindergarten class a question, the kids that know the answers, they're not just raising their hands, they're literally jumping out of their chairs. Pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, I know the answer. And if you look at the kids that don't know the answer, they're like crawling under their desks because they don't want to be picked, because they don't want that attention, right? That they didn't know. And so when we just model things for children, when we just tell them the names, give them the answers, because when they do know the answer, they're going to tell you. And conversely, if we're just questioning them all the time, they might just feel like crawling under their desk, just like we would. I mean, they're little humans. Nobody likes that pressure.
Right.
So
yeah,
back to
awesome. Good conversation. Right. Yeah, back to the way. I mean, it's all good stuff, right? I'll keep it short from a gross motor aspect on this guy. I really love to use this toy in tall kneeling play. We consider tall kneeling to be like a pre-crawling activity, especially if kiddo is really struggling with getting their knees up underneath their hips and getting into that hands and knees crawling position. So this is one of my favorites for pre-crawling play. You can get your kiddo and get a diaper box, put this guy up on top of a diaper box and put their hands on the diaper box with their knees on the floor and let them have at this toy. Stay engaged with them. Don't just like prop them up and expect them to continue to play like that for 15, 20 minutes unless you're engaging with them. But that's really what I love about this guy.
That's fantastic. And it's obvious it's a must-have toy for the OT and for fine motor coordination, right?
Yeah.
So pushing and turning and just working those coordination skills is fantastic for that. And then closing all of the little pop-up windows. That's right. Yep. Fantastic. The other thing I like to point out to parents that's not as obvious with a toy like this is it's a great opportunity to work on crossing the midline. And that's a really important skill, for cognitive development, in addition to, of course, fine motor coordination. But, maybe encouraging them with, their left hand to reach and push the toy or, activate the pop-up that's on the opposite side, of the child's body so they can really work on that skill of crossing midline.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really, really good one. And an easy way to do that is to work with them whenever they are in that hands and knees weight bearing position, because they are only going to have one hand available to keep themselves up and weight bear through that other hand. So that's a good one. I'm going to add that to my toolbox. I like that.
We hope you guys will too.
Yeah. All right. Moving right on along.
And
I don't want
to keep us all on time. So we've got 15 minutes left till the hour. So we're probably going to have to motor through.
We are. Yes. I know we are. We are. We've only got two more sections, so we've got 4 more toys to cover, and then we can talk about like our evergreen toys briefly. But our next age section is 12 to 18 months. And the first guy that we're going to talk about are these really nice, simple knobbed puzzles. So this is by Melissa and Doug. I mean, like if you're a parent and you haven't learned about Melissa and Doug toys, like go ahead and hop on Amazon and just search for Melissa and Doug, especially because Prime Day is tomorrow. They're going to have tons of these on sale. I have the crab, I promise. I just didn't bring it. But these are really awesome multi-piece toys. I'll let you two talk about how you can use them.
One little soapbox that I'll jump on briefly with the puzzles is parents, don't solve this for your child, right?
Yes.
Give them the opportunity to work through it, and they're going to be frustrated, and they might, scream or cry or even throw the puzzle piece, but let's not just do it for them. We don't want to teach that skill. We want to teach resilience. We want to teach them to try again, right? And we can teach try again, the sign language for that as well. But just really encouraging them to keep pushing and keep working through. Of course, first we want to start with a more simple puzzle for the little ones. So maybe it's just that circle that they're placing in. So they'll have that success. And there is, something to be said for some hand over hand assistance initially, but then let's quickly back off on that so that they're learning, those resilient skills and independence.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great tip. It's a tough one, right? Like as a parent, it is. It's so hard as a parent. Like I get frustrated watching her try to do these. She's a pro at these by now, but whenever she was like first focusing on these, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to do it for you, but I know I shouldn't. And so as parents, you learn some restraint as well.
Well, and it's such a beautiful way too, Amanda, that you put it, that you're teaching your child resilience by not saving, right? And the earlier they learn this, the better off they're going to be, because when you're teaching them that you're going to be there every step of the way and do it, well, guess what? They're going to expect that as they go on. And here's the even bigger thing, that they are going to then have less patience for themselves because they didn't learn at an early age to work through it. So their brain doesn't develop those neurological pathways where they feel a sense of accomplishment when they finally get it in there. So yeah, that's great. Such an important point. One thing I will say about these though too, since as Krabby is missing, especially puzzle pieces or any pieces that have multiple pieces that can disappear into the ether, keep those pieces with you and make it like a make it an educational or fun time, right, that you guys are playing with it together. And consider keeping depending on how your toy rotation is. I was just going to say, keeping that puzzle like in a Ziploc so that you're not having to just keep track of where did Krabby go? Who knows? And now the puzzle is no longer functional because you can't find the puzzle pieces. So I would encourage or invite you to keep the pieces together in a Ziploc or somewhere else in a basket, so that you have the pieces together so that your child can play with it, versus allowing a free-for-all and never being able to play with the puzzle because the pieces are who knows
gone.
where.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, with you've still got two pieces here, so it would still be functional, but you were talking about like the longevity of toys. You're not going to pass on a toy that's missing a piece to a friend. You're likely, you could potentially donate it, but like if you're going to a thrift shop, like I'm not likely to buy a toy that has a missing puzzle piece. I'm going to dig for the good stuff where all of the pieces are available. I do know where the crab is. It's just in the bottom of that toy rotation bin, and I didn't want to pull them all out. Yeah.
And so for speech and language for this, just briefly, of course, you're talking about whatever the animal is in this case, and then you're also talking about twisting it or turning it or however the positioning of it is. And then also just use really encouraging, look at how hard you're working on this. I really see your effort. I think when we also use those phrases instead of just a hey, good job or clap as a celebration, it really does offer that child more encouragement and more kind of praise and recognition for their struggle, which that's what we want them to that's what, like Amanda was saying, that's what we want to build, is that resilience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great stuff. Yeah, and then my last little piece with this, like I said, with multi-piece toys, you can make any toy a gross motor toy because you can put it on the floor. They can squat to go get it. You can put it up high. They have to reach high to go get it. You can move them across the room from each other and make them push like a weighted cart back and forth between the puzzle pieces and the puzzle. To get like some good heavy work in and to get some walking practice in, especially if they're not yet walking. You can use a push walker to do something like that. That's always fun. The options are limitless on those multi-piece toys. All right, are we good
Love
to
the
move
sensory
on?
tip.
Oh yeah, thanks. I know I've worked with so many OTs at this
Yes,
point that it's like it just kind of comes out too. So
right.
I am thankful for my experience with OTs because I don't know how I would manage my child and her sensory needs without my OT friends. So my next one, this is our first battery. Yeah, it's our first battery powered toy. It's our piggy bank. This is a Fisher Price toy. Piggy can be played with in a lot of different ways. What I like about Fisher Price the most is that they like stage their on and off switch. So that's really nice. So if like their level 0 is turned off. And I like that they educate parents that like you can play with this toy without turning it on. Like you don't have to have batteries in this toy and you can still play with this toy with your kiddo. Now, if you want to have batteries in it and turn it on, like of course, it talks, it sings, it opens and shuts, it makes noise whenever you put it in, right? So like it does all of those things for you. This is one that we frequently keep in our playpen that we call baby jail, because I am comfortable giving her this while she's not directly supervised, and she will get a lot of quality playtime out of this one because it does do a lot of the interacting for her, but she has to engage with the toy in order to make the interaction of the toy happen. This is not one of those toys that if it sits by itself for 30 seconds, it's going to automatically fire and bring that kiddo's attention back to that toy. So that's another thing that I really love about this battery powered toy, because I've found that a lot of other battery toys have an internal timer. And if that timer, if that toy is not touched for 30 seconds to a minute, that internal timer goes off and it makes a noise or sings a song and then interrupts that child's thought process of whatever else they're playing with or interacting with, pulls them back into that toy. And I really think that that's kind of where like short attention span can kind of start. I think it's where maybe like an addictive quality to like having a type of device could start. So I really, really love the battery toys that don't have that automatic timer, the ones that you have to interact with in order to get the sound or to get the song.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the little ridge, the door that opens up from an
Mm-hmm.
OT perspective. It's so great because only one or two little fingers,
Yeah.
have to sneak into that little spot, that little space in order to open it up. So it really starts to, kind of narrow in and refine those fine motor skills, and strengthen, the individual index finger, things like that. Another thing that's great, or just a tip to point out, is that it's really easy to grade your activity or make your activity a little bit more easy, a little bit more difficult with a toy like this.
Mm-hmm.
With little ones that really don't have that ability yet to, turn and place the coin into the top, what you can do is place the coin initially into that slot for them, right? And the first thing that they're learning to do is push, in, and that's much easier, right? Than being able to actually take the coin and maneuver it in. So you start with that push, and then the child has a lot of success in that, and then you can start to make it a little bit more difficult over time.
Yeah.
Love it. And then Piggy, I think I probably got Piggy Generation 1 or something somewhere. My Piggy didn't have all these fun little things like the nose that says nose and everything. But one thing that you were just saying too, Amber, was that this toy is a cause and effect toy. So you have to press nose for it to say nose. So it does teach that basic cause and effect. So that's a good one. What I really like about Piggy is that, at least on the older generations, each coin has a farm animal on it. And so, which one's that?
This is a
It's
pig, I think.
Piggy! Yeah. And so, how I always would love to play with it was I was like Scrooge McDuck. I would take all the coins and put them in my lap, and then I would give a choice of two. And I would also use not only the name, but the sign, because farm animals, and we'll talk about this in a little bit as well, but in my experience, farm animals would be the only category of thing that we can refer to each animal in 3 ways. So they have a name, cow. They have a sign, or it's this way for cow. And then they have the sound, cow, moo. So you can combine all of those as you're playing with giving the 2 choices. So, you know, for example, you know, would you like the moo cow, or do you want the oink oink piggy? And then child can choose. And then usually if a child's that able to engage in that way, they're old enough that they can then place the coin and then make that fun little cha-ching as they put it in there.
Yeah.
But it's just another way of making that toy a little bit more expansive.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only other thing that I have to add with this one, this is one of my favorites. I mean, it's a multi-piece toy, right? So you can do all of the things that I talked about with the multi-piece toys before. But this is one toy that I love to work on single leg balance for. So you put this guy on the floor, and just like Amanda was saying, you put that coin in just so that it sits there, and you have kiddo, you can have them hold onto something, or you can have them do it without holding onto something, and you have them use their foot,
Oh,
and they
love it.
step on it with their foot.
How fun.
So you're getting single leg balance, you're getting really nice coordination, you're getting some foot-eye coordination of like where their foot is in space. But I really like if a kiddo has a side preference, especially if there's like lingering side preference from like torticollis or from fascial tightness or from like a hitch crawling pattern, it's one of my favorite toys to work on single leg standing with. So try that one with your toddlers.
And ladies, I think that maybe we should make a part 2 for this toy talk. Who knew
Yeah.
that we would have so much rich information to share with everybody about each thing? But I'm having a blast. Are you guys
Yeah.
having fun with this?
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah,
This is so fun.
for sure.
So,
I could, yeah, and I could talk about toys for like, I mean, we talked about
All
toys for an
day.
hour, so I could do it. I could do it for hours.
well, and one of our mottos is learn from us and with us. And as you've seen today, like, you know, we're all learning things that we've played with these toys forever, but from our own lens, from our own perspective. Like thinking of standing leg balance with Piggy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had never considered. Or Amanda using one finger. Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know that, you know, like poof, amazing. Really great stuff. So anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and just wrap up today's live with you. And we hope you really enjoyed it and got some great information from this. Please go ahead and make sure you like us. We're also going to cross post this on YouTube if you want to see it in its entirety. So like us, comment, subscribe, follow, please do all the
Yeah.
things so that we're on your radar. And then again, if you missed it in the beginning, we're offering a 30% off coupon for those of you that would like to join our private, exclusive, heart-centered community. And you can join that by visiting our website at www.newdaychildcoaching.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel. And yeah, so we'll do a part 2. Watch our socials for the announcement of when we're going to do that. And in part 2, we will cover toys for our emerging toddlers. So it's going to be 19 months and older. And then we'll also go over our evergreen toys, which like are some of my favorite toys. I can't believe we didn't get to them because I love to talk about them. My like favorite set of toys is in the evergreen list, but I'll let you guys simmer on that and like wonder what's Amber's favorite toy. And if one of my friends watches this, comment below and like make a guess because I'm sure somebody will know. But that's what you have to look forward to in part 2.
And if anybody has any questions or wants to learn about anything in particular, just drop us a line and we'll consider it.
Yeah. All right. And Rachel, are we going to try to do our sign out? We can let Amanda observe for this one.
Yeah.
If you'd like. It's always a hot mess.
All right. Are you ready to try it?
I'm ready.
Amber? Okay.
I'm ready.
Here we
Let's do it.
All right.
From
all of us at
NewDay, have a good
day.
day.
It's so simple, but we always mess it up.
It is.
All right, everybody. Take
Right.
care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for that live deep dive where we unpack all sorts of toys for kiddos who are 18 months and younger. This is a part 1 of a 2-part series. You can join us live for part 2 on July 29th at 12 o'clock Pacific time, and that's in 2024. So if you're watching this video after then, just go ahead and head to our page and find part 2. It will be up on our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that you have a wonderful new day.